Hi everybody, welcome to Secretary Academy. In this video, we are going to be talking about CSS height, width, and max width. Let's proceed. So the CSS height and width property are allowed to set the height and width of an element. Then we have the CSS max width property, which is used to set the maximum width of an element. Let's proceed. So we have the CSS set height and width. The height and width property are used to set the height and width of an element. The height and width do not include padding, borders, or margin. It sets the height and width of the area inside the padding, border, and margin of the elements. So this element has height of 70 pixels and width of 300 pixels of 100%. This is what we have here. Now let's proceed. We have the CSS height and width value. The CSS height and width properties can have the following values. Auto, which means default. The browser calculates the height and width. Length, that is, defines the height or width in pixels, centimeter, or em. We also have percentage that defines the height and width in percent of the containing box. We have initials, that is, set the height or width to its default value. Then we have inherit, that is, the height and width will be inherited from the parent value. Let's proceed. So we have an example for the height and width. This element has the height of 200 pixels and the width of 50 pixels. Which element? So you set the height and the width of a div element. So we'll create a div. We'll set the height to 200 pixels. We'll set the width to, let's go. So we'll come here, we'll create a div. A div is a container. It's a container that you wrap all your work inside. It's just like you going it's just like you ordering for stuff and it's being packed inside the container just to prevent it, to keep it well. So that is what div does. You can pour your content inside the div just for it to maintain a certain style. Or if you want to style a particular aspect, that is what container is for. Like, okay, let's say you ordered something abroad and you have two containers, one is blue, one is red, but we have content inside. So that's how div works. Div is a container. So let's do like this, and we'll say we are testing the div. Let's say we. So give it width. Then with one, let's just say with one. So there won't be any contradiction. With one, then we have a padding. So now inside this width one. I didn't give it a dot. Inside this width one, we'll give it a width of 300 pixel. We would give it a background color of light blue, margin of 10 pixel, padding of 10 pixel, and we can give it box sizing border box. We can as well give it border. If we want our border, we can give it text align. We don't need font family. It's not compulsory. So let's check what we have. Can you see the div that we just created? This is a div. It has this border is not working. It's not giving it. Let's use this red. So you see the effect of, yes. So this is a div, and inside it is div. We gave it a width. We gave it a width of 300 pixel. Now let's deal with the width that we just gave it. If I should give it height, now let's give it height. I can give it height of 200 pixel. So you see the difference between the two. Can you see the height has increased? See the height has increased. The height cannot go up. It can only go down. You can only increase the height down, not up. But if you give it, that is when padding comes in. Padding top of 40 pixel. Can you see with padding top? It took effect. So I just gave it width and height now for you to see what width and height does. Let me remove this height from there. Good. That's it. So we created an example, but this was given width of 50%, then background color. That is, this element has a height of 100 pixel with a width of 500 pixel. So to set the height and width of a div, you give it height, you give it div, like we just did. You give it height, you give it width. Then you can set your background color and do other stuff. So we have a note. Remember that the height and width property do not include padding, border, or margin. So they set the height and width of the area inside the padding, border, and margin of an element. Let's proceed. So we have CSS using the max width. That is, the max width property sets the maximum allowed width of an element to prevent the width of an element to be larger than the max width property. So the max width property can have, what does max width does before max width? What does it does before? What does it do before I proceed? Now, if you want, okay, the maximum width you want is 500 pixel. The max width will help you set that, and it won't go beyond that. So length, that is, you can define it with the maximum of pixel or centimeter, percentage, maximum width in percentage of the containing block. None, that is, this default means that there are no maximum width if you don't want maximum width. One problem with width property can occur when the browser window is smaller than the width of the element. The browser then add a horizontal scroll bar to the page. So using max width will improve the browser's handling on the small window. If you can see, if there's no space, there'll be an horizontal scroll bar for you to scroll to see what is next. But with max width will improve the browser's handling on the small window. So let's make use of max width. Instead of using this, we can just say max width of 50 pixel. 50 pixel is calculated in 500 pixel. 30 pixel, 30% is 300 pixel. Yes. So as you can see, any other thing, the width will not go aside from this. This is what it is going to maintain. I hope you understand this aspect and how max width works. So we have CSS example, drag the browser window to smaller than 600 pixels to see the difference between the two divs below. Okay, we'll create two divs. This element has a width of 600 pixel. Using max width, the element has a max width of 600 pixel. So one has a width and one has a max width and one has width. So one div element with a max width of 500 pixel and one without. Let's create an example. We'll just redo this one. We'll give it max width 2. We'll give it width 2. Then we'll duplicate this one. Then we'll give this. So I think I give this 50%. Let's give it 300 pixel. 500 pixel. But this one will just give it to it. So for you to see the difference between the 500 pixel. Now let's check it out. Yes, so this is both of them. Now we'll resize our screen. We can use F12. So if we resize our screen, you see the difference between both of them. One of them is resizing. See the one that we used max width. It is maintaining its div. It is maintaining that max width. It is not going beyond. But see the one that we just add width of. It is just there. It is even disfiguring. See what max width is doing. It's kept maintaining it, and see the difference. This is the max width and this is with the width. I hope you understand what we just did now. Thank you for watching this video. Please do well to follow us across all socials at Techisrain Academy. See you next time. Bye.